In 542 C, Khosrow I of the Sasanian Empire invaded Commagene but later retreated to Aderbedagan and halted at Adher-Gushnasp. His intention was to launch a campaign against Byzantine Armenia, but the Romans had been negotiating with him until they learned about the epidemic of the plague of Justinian in Khosrow's force and the rebellion in Persia led by Prince Anashizad. Emperor Justinian saw this as an opportunity and ordered all Roman forces in the east to invade Sasanian Armenia. Martin was the newly appointed Magister Militum per Orientem in the east, but he didn't have much actual authority over the other commanders. The Roman forces, which amounted to about 30,000 men, encamped in the same district but did not unite their forces. Martin, along with Ildiger and Theoctistus, encamped at Citharism, about 4 days' march from Theodosiopolis. Meanwhile, Peter and Adolios took up their quarters in the vicinity, and Valerian, the general of Armenia, stationed himself close to Theodosiopolis and was joined there by Narses and a regiment of Heruls and Armenians. Justus, the emperor's nephew, and some other commanders remained far to the south in the neighborhood of Martyropolis, where they made incursions of no great importance. The target of the offensive was Divin, the capital of Sasanian Armenia, an important commercial center in the region with ample supplies and suitable for cavalry action. Moreover, it was the place where Christian envoys came from, who were likely to switch to the Roman side. According to Sivan, the Catholicos and his brother may have collaborated with Valerian to plan the operation. The Persian forces stationed in Persarmenia, led by Nabides and totaling 4,000 troops. They were positioned at the mountainous village of Anglon, situated approximately 15 miles away from Divin. This village contained a fortress named Anglon, situated atop a steep mountain and surrounded by tightly packed village houses. In preparation for a defensive strategy, Nabides orchestrated an intricate ambush by blocking the village entrances with stones and carts, digging a trench of sorts, and placing hidden traps in the houses outside the fortress. Additionally, he organized his army in the lower areas below the village. Some of his forces were strategically positioned within the fortress itself, serving as the final component of the planned ambush. The Roman forces only consolidated after crossing the Persian border, assembling in the plain of Divin and likely surpassing 20,000 soldiers. Peter, serving as the likely vanguard, led the advance. Initially adhering to strict formations, the Romans deviated from their disciplined march upon learning of the Persians' concentration in Anglon, opting to disperse for looting. Procopius noted a lack of cohesion among the Roman generals. A captured Persian spy, located a day's march from Anglon, revealed that Nabides had fled. As the Roman forces advanced into the challenging terrain of Anglon, they assumed the Persians were concealed within fortifications. However, Roman scouts soon reported the presence of an open Persian army. Responding swiftly, the Roman army hastily formed a single-line formation. Martin's forces held the center, Peter's forces took the right, and Valerian's forces, likely accompanied by Narses and his Heruls and Armenians, constituted the left. The formation, affected by the rugged terrain and the urgency of the situation, was imperfect. The Persians, positioned in a confined space, had received orders from Nabides not to initiate combat unless provoked. In the shadow of the towering fortress atop the precipitous mountain of Anglon, the clash between Roman and Persian forces erupted with Narses and his seasoned troops leading the charge. Engaging the Persians in close combat, Narses and his Heruls initially gained ground, defeating a portion of the Persian army. The Persian cavalry, recognizing the threat, hastily retreated toward the safety of the fortress through a narrow passageway. Undeterred, Narses and his men relentlessly pursued the fleeing Persians, charging through the narrow streets and rugged terrain beneath the looming fortress. Little did they know, the village buildings outside the fortress concealed a hidden peril. Suddenly, the Persians unleashed their ambush, striking Narses and his Heruls in close combat. Despite their initial success, the Romans found themselves ensnared in the unexpected trap. During the chaotic melee, Narses, the valiant commander, suffered a grievous wound to the temple. His brother valiantly carried him away from the fray, but the wound proved fatal, marking the tragic end of Narses' heroic efforts. Meanwhile, other Roman cavalrymen who had followed Narses now found themselves trapped in the labyrinthine alleys of the village, facing fierce resistance from the Persians. Recognizing the opportune moment, Nabides, the Persian commander, seized the offensive initiative. Persian soldiers poured forth from the fortress, launching a sortie against the panic-stricken ranks of the Roman assailants. The Persians, especially targeting the lightly armored heralds in the open area and the Romans trapped in narrow alleys, unleashed a barrage of arrows and close-quarter attacks. Amidst the tumult, the Roman commanders and their forces succumbed to panic, initiating a disorderly retreat. The Romans abandoned their heavy equipment, including weapons, armor, draft animals, and baggage train, as they desperately fled the battleground. Adulius, a prominent figure among the Romans, met his demise during the chaotic retreat. Although the Persians refrained from pursuing the fleeing Romans beyond the challenging terrain, fearing an ambush by the larger Roman forces, the Romans continued their hasty escape from the region. The once promising Roman offensive had ended in disarray, leaving behind the echoes of a tumultuous battle and the fallen heroes who had valiantly fought in the mountainous village of Anglon. The sole historical account of the battle comes from the Roman historian Procopius, who offers a critical perspective on the Roman army's performance during the campaign. Procopius, known for his harsh assessments, particularly emphasizes the perceived shortcomings of the Roman forces in this engagement. Modern scholars, however, have challenged Procopius's evaluations, viewing the battle as illustrative of the challenges posed by the inclusion of inadequately trained soldiers in the Roman ranks. Additionally, criticisms extend to the alleged lack of coordination among the Roman generals. In contrast to Procopius's portrayal, some scholars, including J.B. Berry, argue that Procopius may have exaggerated the incompetence of the Roman generals and the severity of their defeat in this particular campaign. Noteworthy in the context of military strategy, Anglon presents a less common defensive fortification model where settlements exist outside the protected structures. This defensive tactic, occasionally observed in the Caucasus, mirrors another example seen during the siege of Tizashur in 557. The consequences of the Battle of Anglon had a significant impact on the Lazic War, providing the Persians with momentum as they capitalized on their victory. Despite the varying perspectives on the battle's dynamics, its historical significance is indisputable in shaping the course of the Lazic War.